Hello, my name is Paula Acun. I am a student of the undergraduate program of English, Philology and Languages at Universidad Nacional de Colombia. This past semester, I was doing my teaching practicum. I chose to do it with primary school, so I was assigned to a class in a public school here in Bogota. The main objective of my practicum, I chose this objective a few weeks into the practicum because I got the chance to meet the students before that and just to know what they liked and what they needed. So the main objective of my practicum was to provide second grade students with the necessary tools and knowledge to introduce themselves in English and talk about the parts of their bodies. We also talk a little bit about their likes as well. Of course, we had many other objectives in the practicums, not only this one. I also tried to implement creative tasks where students could express themselves and do different drawings and creations based on their personalities. And we also worked with introducing students to English songs and sounds through the use of audiovisual materials. I thought that this was a really good approach because it helps them convey meaning as well and improve their pronunciation, which is very important. A little bit about the context. The institution is called Colegio Panamericano. It is a public school located in the Martires zone in Bogota, and it has 3 different shifts. The morning shift is exclusively for primary school, so that's when my students were going to school. They went from 6:30 in the morning to 11:30. About the class, my class was 201. They were second graders, and I had approximately 30 students in the classroom. It was a big group to work with. They were very active as well, and they were aged between 7 and 10 years old. The level, it's level A1. Some of them are even in pre-A1, just starting to listen to English for the first time, learning their first words in English. And the backgrounds of the students were very varied. Some of them are foreigners that came to school maybe a few months ago or maybe a year ago. Some of them were born in the neighborhood and they have been there since they were in kindergarten. But there were also some students who went to that school just for a couple of weeks or months because of their family situation. Regarding some of the theoretical constructs that I used 4 main theoretical constructs that I think helped me a lot to go through the practicum. The first one was total physical response, which is learning through actions, and I implemented this mostly in the end of the sessions, just trying to have something different to end the session, maybe a game, maybe something that required them to listen and to convey the meaning through what they were doing, and I think it was a really good thing to work with them. And it's also easy to have some activities with total physical response with big groups. I also use direct EFL teaching because I need to work with explicit explanations of the topics because the students were lost when I was sometimes trying to introduce new activities or maybe new methodologies. Sometimes it was just best to stick with what they knew because that's the way they understood, and they were not very willing to change that. So I had to change what I wanted to do sometimes just to fit what was best for them. Then I also used the audiolingual method. I used both group and individual drilling exercises. I used some of them with audiovisual aids. It was really good and it gave them the opportunity to practice a lot. And I will talk about this later, about practicing and repetition. And I also introduced creativity in language learning, and I believe that creativity is a really good way to teaching different subjects, not only English. And in this case, their creativity, as it says here, will naturally flourish if teachers gives them enough space to express themselves. So even when they're working with English, they can express themselves and they will be more engaged with the activity if they find that they can just be creative and do something beautiful or something scary from a simple activity in English. About the pedagogical intervention per se, I worked through 17 sessions of 50 minutes each. With the students, I was going on Mondays and Wednesdays, which was sometimes tricky because Mondays we have a lot of holidays here in Colombia, And also Wednesdays was the first hour, the first class. And when the students arrive late, well, the first period is always like, yeah, you have to wait for them to arrive, but you have to start working with the ones you have. So I tried to introduce simple activities in the beginning so that the students that were coming in could just catch up easily. We worked on basic topics such as introducing themselves, colors, numbers, how to count, and the parts of their bodies. Also, in the end, we included with the parts of their body, like my body and your body, and the differences, and how I can tell them, like, yes, your ear or your eye instead of my eye. I divided the classes. As you can see here, I noticed that this structure worked well with my group. So I tried to plan all of my sessions in this way. So the first one was the warm-up activity, and it consisted of online games or songs. So I was always trying to have something that they could see and something visual. They are very visual in this class, and that helped me a lot to catch their attention. They enjoyed participating in this activity. You could notice when they understood the games, all of them were raising their hands and trying to participate or go to the board to write something that they saw on the video. With the songs that they had to dance, they were also just trying to copy the movements and sing louder the songs. So I think it was a really good, like, attention getter type of activity, so that I could just start the class and just help them situate themselves in the English class and the English context. You can see here a picture of the students. Then we have the presentation practice activity. I didn't include both presentation and practice in one class because they were very short. So I needed to just do simple activities and short activities in order to complete the class. So sometimes we did presentation, sometimes we did practice. With these main activities, I tried to do a lot of hands-on activities. Students worked best when they were given something to do. Sometimes when they were just sitting there watching me say something, or sitting there just, I don't know, like listening to other classmates, they were very distracted, and it also allowed them to sometimes fight. So I prefer to have them always do something. Even if it was just writing something or drawing something, it helped them a lot to concentrate. We also used a lot of their creativity in this part. We tried to do like the silhouette. I gave them the silhouette of a body, and they were able to complete the parts and the names of the parts, but also create the character they liked with the silhouette. We did for Halloween, we did masks. So they were asked, each one of them had different like conditions to create their masks, but they could decorate them as they wanted. So it was really good. You can see a picture of this girl. Just a fun story. She was not very excited about Halloween, and she told me, no, I don't like Halloween. But after the activity, she was the one being in the character that she created. And I think that was great. And the follow-up activities were games, such as Simon Says, and this is when I used total physical response the most. I try to use Simon Says, or like, yes, everybody do this, clap, or make groups sometimes, depending on the activity. And it was good to just wrap up the session. We didn't have time for this activity in every session, but when we had, it was a good just time for them to maybe relax a little bit, but also to review what we saw in the class. I have four main achievements with this class. The first one is that the students can recognize and say the names of the parts of their body, and the main parts especially. The second one is that their attention improved significantly from the beginning until the last sessions that we had. It was really good to see how I was able to do more activities and just how they were engaged in the activities. The third one is that the students can use what they learned about colors, numbers, and parts of their body to complete tasks and play games. And sometimes those games weren't related specifically to parts of their bodies, for example, but they were using that knowledge. Or maybe we were talking about colors, but they needed to use numbers to answer as well. So it was good. And this is linked to the last one, that is that the students participate in class using English, some words in English, and they can read and answer as well in the target language. Of course, with simple sentences and doing simple things. But in the beginning, I remember that I would ask him, like, how many of these elements are in the image, and they will always answer in Spanish. But now they are starting to think a little bit more in English and to answer these simple questions in English as well. I also identified 4 threats. The first one was time. Class time was short. 50 minutes to work with a group of 30 students is really short time, and we have to work fast and do very simple activities. The next one was process. So students have English just once or twice a week, and as with any kid, they will forget what they learned in the previous class if you don't practice. So it was hard sometimes to follow the process. I had to repeat a lot of activities maybe, or like just trying to remind them of the importance of some words and some activities so that they could use them in the next sessions. The other one is that then there are new students joining the class every week. This school has different conditions, and some students go there for just a couple of weeks, as I mentioned before. So it is hard to know the level of these students and to know if they fit into the activities, but we have to keep working. So this is a threat that it's hard to manage. Some students are very good. The students that arrive are very, very smart. Some of them need a little bit of help with understanding the activities. But in the end, it's just a matter of doing simple activities that almost anyone could understand. And the last one is the environment. So this school is very small. So if you have noise outside, you will listen to it inside the classroom. Finally, I have also 4 main conclusions. The first one is that the students learn through repetition. It was very necessary to take more than one class to review a topic, to repeat what we learned in the previous session, because they forget very easily, and the constant process and the slow process really allowed them to learn. So as a result of this, they were able to introduce themselves in the end, to talk about things they like, and also to talk about the parts of their body, to recognize which part was with which name, and like how could they use it in simple sentences, like this is my head, this is my hair. So that was the first main conclusion. The second one is that the adaptation to the context is essential. Getting to know the students, getting to know their personalities and their likes really allowed me to connect with them and to boost their enthusiasm for English. Something that was hard in the beginning, that when I arrived, everyone was like, yeah, teacher, I don't like English, I don't like this class, I don't understand, I don't want to work. So just getting to know them and trying to bring activities that might be of their interest really helped me to increase their enthusiasm for the class itself. The third one is that there are many alternative teaching methods. However, not all of them work with big groups in the Colombian public schools context. I wanted to introduce new methods and to use and apply different strategies that I learned in my didactics class in the university. However, this group was not suited for all of those activities, and I had to leave some of those activities behind because I noticed that those were not helping me to have a good classroom management. And as well, the teacher as well, the main teacher of the school, she told me like, yes, I think you have discovered that these type of activities worked for them, so just try to stick with it. And that's what I did, and it worked really well. So some of those alternative teaching methods, even though I really like them and I like the theory behind them, they're not suited for these type of classrooms. And the last one is that something that I discovered is that second graders are naturally creative, and when I gave them the chance, they were making amazing creations and very beautiful creations from the things they knew and they wanted to just portray in their English activities and worksheets. So I think that was amazing, just to see them flourish with that creativity and just to be themselves. So I think that's something very important, and I think that even though it's a language course and that the main focus is on learning English, we can also work with different strategies and with different things that will help them just be themselves and to explore who they want to be and explore what they want through the main topics of the class. So that was it. Thank you so much.